All right. Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a really cool guest today, somebody that we've had scheduled to be on the show for quite a long time and wanted to get on the show for a even longer time. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Jason Levi. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me.
It's funny because you and I got an opportunity to talk a bit before we actually went live. And it occurred to me as I'm watching the intro that was written for us, and a friend's son did that years ago. Just took a bunch of old photos of me. I'm not even sure how he found most of them, but one of them is me and all my buddies, boys and girls, hanging out in the ladies' restroom of a private dinner club where my parents were members as a kid the evening of my bar mitzvah. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's actually really funny that photo happened to fall right in there. But Jason, let's talk about Jason. Give us a little bit of background. Obviously, I know more than our audience is going to know as far as the fact that you're from Israel, that you're currently in Fort Collins, Colorado. You and your wife Terry run a real brokerage, a real estate. That's the name of the company for those of you that are doing the podcast versus the video cast. Jason's wearing a real t-shirt if you're watching the broadcast. But tell us how this all came to pass. How did you get to the States? How did you get into real estate? What made you think that would be a good idea? Because that one's mind-boggling for everybody.
Big misjudgments.
Yeah, and then give us a little bit of background about the real estate world in Fort Collins.
Yeah, so I'm Jason Levi. I run the Levi Group at Real Broker here in Fort Collins. It's a small team that I run with my wife. And my history, oh boy. So I am Israeli. I was born in Israel, but raised half my life in South Africa. I'm a proud Jew.
That's the accent.
It is, yes. It confuses people.
Yes, it did me. Got it.
Thank God. Thank goodness the accent stuck with me, because it's a nicer accent than an Israeli accent, I think, in English. But yeah, I'm a proud Jew and a prouder Israeli. And when I was 15 years old, I moved back to Israel, finished high school, and served in the IDF.
Of course.
When I got out, a common thing that the Israeli kids do after the service is just go travel. No one really wants to study. It's been a hard few years, and we just want to clear our minds. So I went and worked for about 6 months in a hotel in a resort in the Dead Sea to save money, and bought a backpack and flew to South America and traveled backpack there for about 18 months, and didn't know any Spanish when I got there. And you just immerse yourself in the culture, and you have to learn Spanish. It started out with a phrase book, just reading phrases out to taxi drivers and trying to understand. And at the end of it, I left the continent speaking pretty much fluent Spanish. I came to the States, worked a little bit because I wanted to travel more, but I ran out of money. So I was in New Orleans for a while. And this was in 2000, and saved some money, went back to Central America, traveled a bit more, and then I got stuck on an island scuba diving, and just spent a few months there. And then I got a call back from my employer in the US saying, hey, we're opening up the territory for Christmas again. Do you want to be a regional manager? Flew back out, worked some more, and then I went back to the island and just got stuck there and lived there for quite a few years. Had a few breaks, lived in the UK. For me, it was all about traveling and getting some street smarts as opposed to getting a formal education. That's what I was about. I was never an academic person, had a rough time studying. And eventually I met my wife, Carrie, on the island. She flew in to do a dive master course. I was an instructor by that time, running a dive shop pretty much. And we got together, and she spent a good few months with me there. And then we decided to leave the island together and go traveling together. After the travels, we ended up in Chicago, which is where Carrie's from. and I got into the energy efficiency industry. Back then, there were a lot of energy rebates that were going on during the Obama administration, insulation, HVAC, that kind of stuff. And worked in the insulation industry for a while, and then got a job with a Fortune 500 company called Owens Corning, big manufacturer of insulation. And I was a product. I helped them out in Chicago, but I was over the Midwest. I wanted to get out of there. Coming from two different warm countries,
Yeah.
living in the Midwest, those
Midwest
winters,
winter.
yeah, those winters were just brutal for me. And a position opened with Owens Corning in Colorado to have be a product rep for 5 states. And I said to Carrie, "Hey, I'm going to interview for this." And she was like, "Did you? If you hadn't noticed, we have a 6 month old child. You want to move away from the free babysitters?" And I just said, we sit in the house for 8 months of the year waiting for the weather to change.
To improve.
What a waste. And so I interviewed, got the job. They gave us a relocation package, which was amazing. Moved to Fort Collins and worked for another 4 years with them. And then I left the company to work for a competitor. And within 9 months of me starting there, that competitor got acquired by a big chemical company. And I didn't survive the acquisition. And so I found another position with another installation company out of Iowa that had a branch in Denver. Everything was going great. And then I don't know if you remember, but inflation in building materials started happening about 6 years ago. Um, Quite a few things happened in the insulation industry specifically that drove prices up. And, I got let go again within the first year of working for this company. And when I got let go, it was a real turning point for me because Carrie had just started real estate. She had just completed her first year. She was doing amazing. She sold 8 units in her first year, and it was great.
Good for her.
Yeah, but it was pocket money, right? It was extra money for the family on top of my six-figure salary. But now that was gone, and I didn't rush into LinkedIn to look for positions. I took about 3 weeks of just going paddleboarding by myself, thinking, meditating, trying to figure out what I really want to do. And I said to Carrie, like, hey, I'm so sick of negotiating really good salaries and really good commissions for myself, and then just putting a target on my back for when things get hard for the company, right? And I said, what do you think I join you in real estate? Let's form a team and let's work together. And there was apprehension from both of us, right? Spouses working together, not always a great idea. Carrie and I have very different personalities. And, but I think that we identified that we can work as yin and yang as opposed to oil and water, right? Different approaches, complementing approaches. And we decided to take the plunge. I signed up for the course, and we had already had a Mexico trip scheduled in October, and that was about 4 or 5 weeks away from when I started the course. And I said to Carrie, like, I want to do this before the vacation. I just want to go to Mexico licensed. And she's like, there's no way you're going to do it. And I was like, all right, watch me. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm checking out of life. Take care of the kids. I got up, studied from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and got licensed in 3 weeks. We went to Mexico, had a great time, came back to reality of being unemployed, essentially. Like
Right.
even more unemployed than I was before.
Right. Well, the thing about being a real estate agent, there's an old Paul Harvey quote in the God Loves a Realtor monologue that says you wake up every day unemployed.
Yeah, until the next closing.
Right.
You walk into the closing, you're employed. You walk out, you're unemployed.
Correct.
Until the next one. And so we really went into financial survival mode. It was COVID. So we went on to forbearance on our mortgage. We went I was on unemployment for a little bit, but then we went on to food stamps, Medicaid, and we had an $80,000 HELOC to live off. And I said, let's do this, let's grind. We put everything into the business and let's succeed. And we really hit the ground running. I was at Keller Williams at the time, and you get these free coaches at Keller Williams, and it's hit and miss who you get. But I was really lucky to get a guy called Bruce Clarley as my coach. And I said to him, Bruce, I'm in financial survival mode. I don't have time for this sphere of influence BS. My wife is already working 70% of my sphere. I need to generate deals now. And I can't pay Zillow. I can't pay anyone. And so he told me, do 80% of what I tell you and you'll succeed. And I did. And we created my strategies, my lead gen strategies, which was open houses and door knocking around the open houses. And in the first year, I sold 12 houses. And I think 67% of those units were from open houses. So I was very good at open houses.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was amazing.
For those of you watching or listening, if you're in the real estate game, I cannot express how valuable open houses can be as a lead gen technique or tactic if you do it right.
Absolutely. You just got to know how to do it right. And you got to learn how to speak to people and how to read people. And so we hit the ground running, We lasted about a year at Keller Williams and then moved over to Coldwell Banker for a couple of years. And now we're at Real. At Keller Williams, when the team leader there at the office saw our success, he started, priming us to start a team. He's like, you guys need to start a team. And I was like, why would I want to do that? And he asked us the question, like, what do you want to do when you're 60, 65? Do you want to still be chasing leads, showing houses, unable to let go of your database? Or do you want a well-oiled machine, a company that is going to generate income for you while you guys take a step back to a certain degree? And that's when I started, really thinking about it. And I flew to Philadelphia to take a course called Career Visioning at Keller Williams with a legend at Keller Williams called Gene Rivers. And I flew because I wanted to take the course with him. And it's all about hiring and how to hire your first assistant. And I took that course and we started looking into assistants, trying to get the support that we need so that we can start growing a team. And from there, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And my ring light just toppled itself over.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No bother. But I do want to interject and just make sure our audience knows, while the synonymity is uncanny, Jason has not been a coaching client of ours ever. This is just logical type of stuff. When we say that the plateau for our program is to eventually build a business that you can walk away from while it still pays you, these are those steps, people. So pay close attention.
Yeah, I think the biggest step is be a sponge. Be coachable. Understand that even if you're at the top of the game, you're never at the top of the game because there's always brains out there that'll give you new ideas and
technology develops and
correct.
The real estate world changes. It's a dynamic industry.
Absolutely.
You have to be dynamic with it.
Yeah, it's been almost 7 years that I've been in the industry now, and I still get coached. I change coaches constantly because, when I feel like I'm tapping someone out, I need a new brain to tap into. And I get to surround myself with the highest performers in the country who are very giving and are willing to share what they're doing. And that's what we're all about.
Well, I think it's funny and it's probably true in every industry, but certainly in ours, that if you're good at what you do, there's plenty of business to go around.
Yeah.
And that is, this is a chicken and egg question, but that abundance mindset brings more business. And
Absolutely.
If you have a scarcity mindset, not only are you not coming across these people because they're not partaking in this effort to elevate everyone involved, but they're probably hurting their business as well. And here's the neat thing about the people who know things but have a scarcity mindset: you don't know anything that other people don't already know.
Right.
There's no secrets. It's just a matter of how it's shared, how it's executed, and those kinds of things. So, yeah, that abundance mindset is huge. I cannot emphasize the importance enough.
And it's not always that easy, right? Because we're not always in abundance.
No, it's
And
not that easy. Yeah,
and
that was definitely easier said than done.
yeah, and we definitely have our ebbs and flows of the business, and I think the ebbs are a lot deeper than I would want them to be in my business. And so a big focus for me this year is managing, those ebbs and making sure that they become a little shallower and don't impact us so badly in the off seasons. Um, and so it's not easy, but the importance is, having a coach to have these chats with and be pushed into the right mindset, and also surrounding yourself with a community of people that are better than you and can really sort of prop you up, lift you up. Our team has gone through a bit of a rough patch over the past few months. We are down to, we said goodbye to all our agents on the team, and say goodbye to our admin, our assistant, and it's down to me and Carrie now, and we are rebuilding, which is absolutely fine. All the greatest teams around the country had to break everything down, back down to the basics and the foundations to rebuild with lessons learned, and I'm totally fine with that. But it didn't feel good in the beginning. It felt really bad, and I'm on a bi-weekly mastermind with 4 other agents that I met at Tom Ferry's office at a mastermind, and we just chat, and I was like, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna suck up all the air of this 45-minute session with you guys. This is what's happening. I was really down. And these guys really propped me up. There's a brokerage owner in the group, there are 2 brokerage owners in the group, and there's another agent with a team in Salt Lake City. And we just discussed it, and I left feeling energized and feeling like that mindset of abundance will come back now. I can put my head together and I can get through this. And it's not easy because I was not in a state of abundance. Business was coming in, but business isn't my ultimate goal. I wanted to build my team, right? And I decided to just break everything down. And so it's not easy, is my point. But it's always important to surround yourself with the right people, and then pretend as if. That's what I was always told. Just pretend as if, wing it. Pretend everything is abundant. And you will start attracting the right kind of energy to you. And it's like the old story of, when you buy a Kia Telluride, or you start thinking about buying a Kia Telluride, and
then you start seeing them all over
all
the
Kia
road.
Tellurides everywhere, right?
Right.
And that's just because you started thinking about that, and it was your mindset that changed without you even noticing. Now you need to just learn how to do it intentionally.
I think there are a couple of really important points in there. And rolling it back just a minute, I think one of the big things about managing those ebbs and flows, so, it was 5 minutes ago, is the consistent work. If you are constant and consistent in your lead gen work, the results will be more constant and consistent. And I see that as a big failure in the community as a whole. You guys get really busy in the summer. You tend to be working in your business, not on your business. It slows down in the fall. Then we have all the mortgage and real estate conferences. In the winter, you realize you weren't doing the shit you needed to be doing 30, 60, 90 days ago. So you start doing it again. And then you're busy in the spring again, on and on. Horrible cycle. However, I do think that even more important of the things you had discussed in this last segment is that you guys all need to understand that the team you have, the people you are employing or are working with, are not the same people as the next level. So the people that took you from doing 0 to 20 deals a year are not the same people that are going to take you from 20 to 50 or 50 to 100. So you guys have got to understand, and Jason laid this out really well. The coach is going to change. The team is going to change. The support staff is going to change because you're going to change. If you want to get to a point where you're going from 0 to 20 deals a year, or 20 to 50, 50 to 100, whatever the case may be, you've got to understand that it's going to require a lot of different things, including those people. So
Absolutely.
You've got to remain open-minded. You've got to remain with development, with growth, with improvement in the back of your mind all the time, and understand that everything about your business and getting it to that point, that final plateau, is dynamic. It's going to change, and you have to be willing to break it down and change it yourself. Start again, as it were, which is apparently what Jason and Carrie are doing right now. And those are the things that are going to be painful. They're going to guarantee a lot of work. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to result in a new plateau for them. So, yeah, please understand that that is a big, big piece of the puzzle when you're talking about getting to the point where you can walk away from your business while it still pays you. And guys, I know there are 1,000 steps in between where you're at now, whoever you are, and getting to that point. And that's true for Jason and Carrie as well. But you've got to understand that that breaking down and rebuilding process is going to happen, and it's going to happen more than once if you want to get to that point. Okay, Jason, thank you. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but those are a couple of really valuable points that I just had to emphasize.
And, you mentioned consistency, and it's so hard, right?
It is.
And there's a running joke at my daughter's soccer team who a lot of the parents are my clients, and they always know when I'm busy, and they know when I'm not busy, because when I'm busy, I don't have a great online presence, not a lot of videos. But when I get slow again, they start seeing me online again, and they're like, Levi is a little quiet. He's doing videos.
Yep.
And that's the funny part of it, but it's not funny because I realize that I'm not consistent. And I went to a real estate conference when was it? January, and listened to a speaker, one of the coaches who just does YouTube coaching. And I've been doing YouTube for years, but inconsistently. And I came out of that conference with a commitment to myself to do one YouTube video a week.
Great.
And I did
that's
that.
not for everybody, guys. If it's
not
one every other week, fine. Just be consistent and constant.
Right. And it's a thankless job. You get no results. It's not like Instagram where you can get 700, 1,000 views on a video that you really didn't put much time into. YouTube is brutal. And I really got into I listened to this guy, and he said, it's not about the views. It's not about the subscribers. It's about getting people to reach out to you. And all you need is one view of a video to get one person to reach out to you. And I put my head down, been doing these videos weekly, sometimes twice a week. And last week, I got a call from a seller who watched a video of mine that was titled, "Why is your home not selling?" And they watched the video, and they called me and scheduled a call. And that was my first organic YouTube lead, which is going to result in a listing.
It only
and
takes
that's because I
one.
was consistent.
Right. And the video is a big piece of it, and the social media is a big piece of it, and the contact management is a big piece of it, and the calendar management, and the writing, and all of these things. Now, here's the real deficit, boys and girls, because Jason said this: there's no reward. He's not making money from YouTube. He's not making money from making videos. That's not how it works. It's supplemental to get to a point where he's got more buyers and sellers. That's the goal. More buyers, more sellers, more contracts, more closings. And you have to do all these things that you don't get paid for. You don't get paid as a video editor. You don't get paid as a social media content creator. You don't get paid as the world's greatest calendar manager. It doesn't work that way. But you have to do all these things because the byproduct is more leads, more buyers, more sellers, more contracts, more closings, more money. So, yeah, it is thankless. There's no question. But that is the perfect description of how that work that you really can't quantify or qualify. You just have to be constant and consistent with it, will generate in the things that Jason is describing, like a new listing, which will result in a sale, which will result in a commission, which will, by the way, kids, result in that person referring more buyers and sellers, because you're going to focus on your client retention as well as your lead generation. So, yeah, we get it. We know that doing the video work is time consuming and it's challenging and it's difficult and it's thankless, but there's the eventual nondescript byproduct.
And the formula is the same across the board for all lead gen, right? I door knock a lot around my open houses, and I know that I'm going to get my approach is to get people's contact details, have a great conversation, and get them into my database. And I know that not everyone's going to say yes, but I know that there are a certain amount of no's that I need to get through to be able to get to the yes.
And when I'm door knocking stuff right there.
Yeah, when I'm door knocking, I know it's roughly 10 doors. So if I don't knock on those first 9 doors, I know that I won't get to the 10th. That's going to be a yes. And it's the same with the YouTube videos. It turns out that I need to do 33 videos before I get someone to reach out. Now, that might improve as my videos get better and I do more and more, but it's okay. Now I know that after the 33 videos, since I became consistent, someone reached out. And it's across the board. Same with cold calling. If people are still cold calling out there, the same with open houses. It's all the same formula.
Agreed. And I think that there's something really valuable in the long game when it comes to lead gen techniques and tactics. Yes, you have to be constant and consistent, but a really good example, we had a coaching client, a real estate agent, young guy, says he wants to do door knocking. Great. I will never judge you for how you do your lead gen. I will judge you if you don't do it. And I said, okay, it's not what I would do, but if you're constant and consistent about it, it'll work. He says, I'm going to do 4 hours every Saturday. That's great. Fantastic. After a month, he came back and said it didn't work. I was like, okay, so you did 4 hours every Saturday. That's like a total of 16 hours. That's one work day in the life of a new agent. Tell me it sucked. Tell me you hated doing it, but don't tell me it didn't work. If you did 4 hours every Saturday for a year, you are generating leads. You are getting buyers and sellers, contracts and closings. So that constancy and consistency isn't just a matter of starting it and doing it, guys. You have to stick with it. You cannot quit on yourself when it comes to adopting and implementing a new lead gen technique or tactic.
Yeah.
Push through, do the hard work.
And the implementation is key, because your coaches can only give you the tools. They can't make you use them. One of the recent agents I had on my team that is now gone, I had a listing of one side of a duplex in Fort Collins. I staged it. It was gorgeous. It was an older lady who had to go into a memory care, and there was a lot of stuff going on there, but we got the job done and it was gorgeous. And it went under contract on the first weekend. And I took one of my agents door knocking in that neighborhood, showing off our success, saying, hey, we just got this house under contract. We staged it. It was beautiful. It went quickly. Do you know anyone that wants to sell in the near future in the neighborhood? And we went door knocking for 1 hour. We spoke to a few people and we got a listing appointment for her. 6 weeks down the road, I was doing my one-on-one mentoring, and I asked this agent, "Hey, we had great success on that. Have you gone out and done it again?" And the agent said, "No." And I said,
It
"I can only
worked and
give
we
you the
haven't done it
tools."
again?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I said, "I can only give you the tools. I just gave you a tool that worked immediately. You didn't have to work at it for 3, 4 months." And so I said, "I can only give you the tools." So if you've got a coach and they're giving you awesome information, that's only half the job. You need to now go implement that information and customize it to your own personality and make it work for you,
That's
because
right.
it's not a one size fits all, but implement it. Actually go out and do things.
And if it's a technique where you can systemize and automate, do some of that as well.
Hmm.
But I think there's another important point there that we kind of glossed over, and I knew we were going to run over. We'll do another episode, Jason. This is great. Maybe we'll do a bunch. Um, Asking for the business. Do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell or whatever the case may be? So many people in this role, yours, mine, insurance, financial plan, whatever, are adverse to asking for the business.
Hmm.
And you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to pose that question. Do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's just such a big, I know it seems small, but it's such a big tip. It's such a big idea to ask for
At
the
the bare
business.
minimum, stay top of mind.
Yeah, no question. Well, I think that's a big deal when we're talking about you doing this open houses, door knocking in the interest of, you said it yourself, adding these people to your contact database.
Mhm.
Because the goal there is to just have more people consuming more of your content. And guys, I know we use the word content, we automatically think social media, but if you're door knocking, whatever's coming out of your mouth is your content. If you're sending out postcards or doing an email blog or whatever, a newsletter, whatever the case may be, that's your content. So yeah, more people consuming more of your content is the goal here.
Yep.
So yeah, building that contact database that way through door knocking, through open houses is huge. Yeah, these are great techniques, guys. Jason has really shared a ton of valuable information for all of you. And Jason, a couple of things before we, sign off. One, of course, is you're in this fantastic mindset for how we do the real estate business, how we run with our tribe, how we, participate in things like our kids' soccer league because that generates business. Now that we do all these kinds of things, that we do lead gen techniques and tactics like open houses and door knocking, that we know about building our contact database, that we know about staying in front of people, on and on. There is a wealth of information here that you could pass down to an agent that wanted to work at the Levi team. How do we find you if we want to do that? And if you're in northern Colorado and you need to buy or sell a house, that's also very valuable. How do we find you? What's the best way to find Jason and Carrie?
Hey, you can always take a look at our website. It's thelevigroup.net. We also have a blog website, which is just one of our lead gen pillars. It's fortcollinscolorado.com.
I knew
It
you had that URL. That's a big one.
Yeah, so that is basically trying to capture buyers when they're researching moving to Fort Collins. It's
Is
not
it
about real estate.
is it
It's
actually
just
fortcollinsco.com? Or it's all
no,
spelled out. Okay.
it's all spelled out. And so that is like the best hiking in Fort Collins, the best bike trails, what does healthcare look like, what do neighborhoods look like, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a relatively new site. But always text me. Anyone can text me. My number is 970-426-8916. And we're hiring now. I'm ready to have conversations with agents, but what we're actually doing is hiring an assistant right now. And I've evolved with the help of my coach, the position. We're actually hiring a field operations person who's going to help us launch our listings, input MLS details, help organize our client events. We do quarterly client events, which we didn't even get to in this call.
We'll get there. But yes, that's another wonderful subject on client retention.
Yes. So it's going to be field ops manager / showing assistant. So there will be a base salary plus commission of our GCI on deals. And what I'm essentially looking is for someone who has decided that the business side of real estate and the sales is just not for them, but they enjoy real estate and they would just like to be on a more stable position. If anyone out there is feeling like they're ready to take a step back but are having fun in real estate, this could be the position for you.
Perfect. Well, Jason, thank you. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday morning is no small task. And yes, I will absolutely pull up the production calendar and get you booked for another episode because we have a lot to talk about.
That was fun. I liked it.
Good. I'm glad. Me too. This has been a really fun episode. And other than that, I don't know what else to give you guys for all the other things. If you want to catch previous episodes, if you we do this live Monday mornings, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can catch the podcast on Wednesdays on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. And for all the things JTT, just check out justthetipscoaching.com. Jason, thank you. This has been fantastic. Don't run off. I'm going to run our extra. And we will chat briefly after that. And for the rest of you, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching or listening live or in syndication. And we will see you next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage.
Thanks, guys.